Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page, where I do this daily live stream based on the divination card draw. I should actually say oracle, oracle card draw in the mornings. And this live stream is really about having a spiritual conversation about the card and just about anything else we want to talk about. And so welcome. And it is Saturday, February 2nd, Groundhog's Day. I don't even know if who saw their shadow or didn't. So if you know anything about that, please put the comments in there. So, you can share with me anyway, right? That what happened with the groundhog. Well, it has been another interesting 24 hours here. Yeah. I'm going to share with you in just a second. Where we got Rochelle here. Having a heat wave. I know we're calling it a tropical heat wave. We're supposed to have a high of 42 today. Yeah, 42. It's crazy, isn't it? Because right now it's 37 degrees here. 37. Oh, and they're saying a high of 39. I lied. Yeah, it's craziness. Hey, Julie Shumway Hill is here too. Good afternoon to you too, Julie. Julie says, Groundhog did not see his shadow. Spring is on its way. Yay! And that's the one from Sun Prairie? Or is that the one from, the Punxsutawney Phil? I think that's out in New York. Is that it? East Coast? Hello, Andrea. Good to have you here. Always good to see you in the house. There we go. Before we get rolling with any of sharing information and that sort of thing, I'm going to share and like the broadcast. And if you could join me in doing that, I really would appreciate it. And for those that are the core regulars here, right, that you're here just about for every live stream, you know the reason why we do this, right? And basically, for those who don't know, it's just going to be helpful for people who are searching for spiritual kind of information, right? To be able to find us much easier, because when we like and we comment and we share, Facebook loves that. And so we end up being in the newsfeed a little bit more often. And so I am going to do that right now. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm liking and I'm going to share it over to where I usually do, which is to my own newsfeed. And just to make sure that my friends know that I'm live streaming. And to please join. There we go. Easy enough to do. And I do believe Stephanie is available, or she's going to be available. And so she's going to be sharing to other groups and that sort of thing for us. So I appreciate it. And, so Julie's saying neither of the groundhogs saw their shadow. So they're on the same page. Sometimes they're an opposite, right? And it's like, okay, so, whoever didn't see their shadow, they get to have spring earlier. Something like that. Thank you, Rochelle, for sharing. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So, at the end of the daily live streams, I say something to you guys like, if the information resonates with you, to pick it up and embrace it. And sometimes I say, to watch. Be aware of how the energy is unfolding for you for the day, and where the information that we shared, where it's helpful, and whether or not you are a direct participant or a witness, right? Because either way, it's good because you're learning something. Well, we had that happen here. It's so funny in a way, because we were witnessing, right? It really didn't affect us directly, so to speak. Paul had a very early morning, wee hours of the morning phone call on his cell phone. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was his mom. And he had missed the call. I had woken him up because I'm looking, what is that noise? It was his phone, and so I woke him up, and I thought it was going to be his work, right? But it wasn't. It was his, and saw the caller ID, right? Who came up, and he goes, "It's my mom." I said, "What?" So when he finally got a hold of her, it took him a little bit because she kept calling him, and he was trying to call her, and that kind of thing. So what turned out is that where she lives in a retirement assisted living place, which is about 5 minutes from us. They had a water pipe burst, and the first floor got flooded. So they had to evacuate all of the residents to make sure everybody was safe. They didn't know whether or not they could serve meals and all of that, right? So she asked if Paul could come get her. Well, of course, right? And so they show up. She has problems climbing stairs, and our guest bedroom is upstairs. And so I made up the couch downstairs in the living room, and I don't think she got any sleep really. And who could blame her, right? Who could blame her? So we had both moms in the house for about 12 hours, I guess. Yeah, and everything is fine. Everything is fine. They fixed the pipe. They cleaned up the water stuff. They have enough cleaned up that the residents can move back in, and they figured out how they can serve meals to the residents. So everything worked out fine. But it was happening to my mother-in-law. It wasn't really happening directly to us, right? And that we got to witness this event. Yeah. And so being grounded is a good thing. 2 days in a row, right? That we get to do that, and be willing to be in the flow of the energy, right? Yeah. So I was actually thinking about that at 2 o'clock in the morning when I was finally getting back into bed. And so, and getting up at 6. So I have 4 hours sleep basically. And well, probably a little bit more than that because I actually went to bed early last night. I was in bed by 11. Yeah, I was in bed by 11. So anyway, it is so true to be able to notice how the energy is unfolding, and how you can pick out pieces and bits and say, oh, that's what we talked about. Oh, I see that, and what did we say? We said that being grounded. That's right. That's so helpful. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you, that we have stuff happening here all the time, just like you guys do, right? And so to be able to be in a position to be a little more stable, to be able to take the shock sometimes, right? My mother-in-law was not. No. So spending time with her a little bit to get her calmer, and doing some energy work for her that she was open to, and yeah, and actually leaving her and her son together, because that's what she really wanted, right? Is to be with her son and to feel safe, And my mom didn't know anything about it until she got up this morning because, she was sleeping. Yeah. So the moms had breakfast together, and it was kind of cute, that the way that they were talking, and yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on at my house this morning. I wanted to share with you, for those that might be watching for the first time, or whether it's maybe even in the recorded version of this show. This is the cards that we're using. We just started that yesterday. They're Druid Animal Oracle by Philip and Stephanie Cargam. And the illustrator The illustrator is Bill Worthington. Bill Worthington. Yeah, we just started this yesterday, and oh my gosh, what a good conversation we had, didn't we? Yesterday. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did. And to be able to have Merv and Kelly come on with us, who is a modern day druid, and he also is a live stream show host for us. His show is From Star to Stone, and he brings that kind of information to his show, right? And so to have him with us yesterday in the chat and not actually being able to bring him on the show with me was really a gift, wasn't it? To be able to get some direct information. I do know that the language that is used in the on the cards and in the description of the cards, we're going to be learning another language. Yeah. The Old English, and also Gaelic. And so it's very interesting. So I'm going to, if I mispronounce words, apologies, but yeah, I'll do the best I can. I'll do the best I can. So I have a question to those in the chat about how many people have remembered to do grounding today, to be grounded. Again, give it a few minutes. Actually, it's probably less than that, less than a minute for people to respond. For those who have not, you might want to take a moment to do that. And if you need help, please let me know, and we can give you a hand with that. And as we're waiting for people to respond, I wanted to say thank you for those who voted on the February cover. I had put a poll in the one of the closed groups, the Star Nations Radio Network closed group, to help me select the February issue cover. And so for those who voted, thank you so much. And all the people who made a comment, thank you, because I really do appreciate the comments. Because, I can't see everything, right? And so to have so many different perspectives is really, really valuable. Okay. Yay, Julie says she grounded. Thank you so much for doing that, Julie. And so did Rochelle. Yay. And so did Andrea. Yahoo. All right. That's good stuff. And why am I excited about something like that? Because the more people who are grounded, it makes our environment more stable, right? We change the environment around us when we ourselves are grounded and centered, and so we affect the world around us. Is what I'm trying to say. Not just it's good for us, but we also affect the world around us, and so that is a good thing. All right. Well, let's get to the card then. Now, I was going to say they're covered. I don't know if you guys can see this very well. Let's see if I can. It's very shiny cover book. This is not black, the color black. This is a dark navy blue. And I realized that yesterday when I was working with the videos yesterday, I realized that the color for this really does. It looks like it's black, but it's not. It's a dark navy blue, almost like a night sky kind of blue. Yeah, very nice. All right, so here is the card that came this morning, and I have to tell you, it was kind of interesting. My mom had gone back to her room because she was done with breakfast, and she, she has her own routine. And let me tell you, the older we get, the more that we are in a rut with our routines, right? And so anyway, she had her own things to do, and I was starting to prepare how I do my morning after breakfast is done. My mother-in-law is there, and she was having a second cup of coffee, and we were talking. I said, I have to do the card draw, and so just give me a second, and I can be right back with you with the conversation. And she'd never seen me do this, and she goes, "What's the card draw?" And so I'm explaining it to her. And she said, "Oh, this is really interesting." Yeah. So this is the card that came, and she was amazed at how it just jumped out of the deck. And she goes, "It's almost like somebody either pushed it out or threw it out of the deck." And I said, "I know, somebody did." It's one of my spiritual team that did. So this is the ram. The ram. The ram. Very interesting. I'm going to try to hold it up a little bit here. So in the background, we have cloudy skies, and we have female sheep and also lambs in the background up on a hill. They're positioned a bit higher than the ram, which is the male sheep, right? On a stony ledge. And look, there's a bird there too. That's a wren, I believe. And I don't know what the plant is there. I don't know if that's foxglove or what that is, but it kind of reminds me of that. And then down, let's see, I thought there was also thistle here somewhere. Maybe I'm thinking of a different card. Yeah. And see that rock down at the bottom? It's got a snake with a ram's head etched into the stone. Oh, there's a thistle. Near his back foot hoof is the thistle. Yeah. Very interesting. And then when we take a look at a ram, their horns, right? How they wrap around. There again, this is for me, this is about clairaudient, clear hearing spirit. And of course, we have the edging too, the I don't know if I pronounced that right, language along the edge, the ram. And I know that there's a ram, and isn't there a ram in astrology too? But I think that's a goat, if I remember right. Anyway, if Julie Hedges pops in, we're going to have to remember to ask her that question about the ram. All right. Hey, Marla Sue. Good to have you here. She says, I sleep on a grounding mat pad, but I don't think that that's the type of grounding that you're talking about. No, no. But using a grounding pad is good. The kind of grounding that I'm talking about is to be able to have creator energy flowing through you consciously, to feel it, sense it, and coming down through your chakras and then down into the earth, down both legs, down into the earth, and grounding you to Grandmother Earth, and actually feeling like you're a tree, right? That you can sense your energy like tree roots going down into Grandmother Earth. And we can actually feel her, sense her, because I have, that to be able to express how much we appreciate her and love her, and that you can sense her love for you. And so it really does raise your vibration, your frequency, to a, well, I want to say to love, but at least it's higher than not doing it at all, right? And so that's what I'm referring to. So I'm glad you picked up on that, though. And you sleep on a grounding pad. Would you mind sharing, Marla, the where you got it from? Because we're always looking for good resources, right? Because some people, they might be just learning about those kinds of tools like the grounding pad, because there's many different kinds of pads out there, right, that you can use for earthing. And so if you really, really like yours, and if you could share that information with us, that would be great. That would be grand, as they would say. Rochelle saying the Rams will win the Super Bowl Sunday. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Andrea's saying, love the artwork. I know, I do too. I do too. Julie's saying it's Aries. I didn't know that. I should have, but I didn't. And Pat is saying good afternoon. Hello, Pat. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. Yeah. Oh, you got it from earthing.com. Okay. Know that they have quite a variety, right? They have several kinds of earthing mats that you can get. So thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that. Especially, in depending on where you live in the wintertime, it's hard to get your feet out there on Grandmother Earth. And you can try it, but it's kind of cold, especially where I live in Wisconsin. And to be able to go out there barefoot, no, you're not going to do that. But if you have those kind of earthing pads, you can actually have it plugged into an outlet and it grounds. And so you can actually feel the energy coming from the earth as if you were standing on it, right? Yeah. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But it is a different kind of grounding. Mm-hmm. She says, yes, mats, pads, throws, and more. I know. And it's kind of that kind of shopping that, that would be so cool to be able to get, right? I do know when you go to like psychic fairs or I don't want to call it new agey, but it is, those kind of fairs, is that sometimes what they have is somebody there with a booth that is selling earthing kind of tools. And they'll let you try it out. They'll let you try it out. So if you haven't tried one and you're thinking about getting it, I would suggest that you test it out first, right? But people that I know that use them, Marla, say they really like it a lot. Yeah. All right. So let's get back to the card. I'm going to show it again. I was thinking about, without looking at the book, I was thinking about what do I know about sheep, especially like a ram, because I'm looking at it, it's like a mountain sheep, right? And that they're very sure-footed. The environment that they live on or live in is very rocky, and up on cliffs and that kind of thing, up on mountains and hills. And they have really great balance, and they're sure-footed. Don't you like that term? Sure-footed. You have to say it slow, though. Sure-footed. And, that's what my first thoughts that came to me about that. And the feeling, talk about grounding. This guy is very grounded, both, all 4 feet on the ground, on Grandmother Earth. Right? And like I said, what little I know about this, is that in some cultures, the ram was one of those animal relatives that gave a lot to us, the humans, the 2-legged, much like the buffalo, the American bison, much like the wild turkey, right? Yeah, the wild turkey is a giveaway bird. They give us just about a lot, almost their whole body. And so does the buffalo. Buffalo is about abundance. The ram, in many cultures, they gave their hide for clothing and drums, right? The drum head. And also, they used all parts of their body when they gave their life force to be eaten, right? Yeah. And many times, especially because this comes from a European culture, right? And so we know that there were many different indigenous people that also sacrificed sheep, and actually many times it was the ram that was sacrificed so that their life force could help the people. And they would literally, they'd be honored. They're very valued and cherished for everything that they gave to the human, to the two-legged, right? Held in high esteem. So much so is that if you look down at the bottom, right? From what I understand, the etching of a snake with a ram's head in many European cultures, indigenous cultures, was a very important symbol. It was an important symbol. It was about strength, male virility. Yeah. Yeah. Now, we know that he also represents Aries, right? The god of war. I wish, astrology is not one of my my allies. No. It's hard for me to keep that information in my head, and much less the glyphs. And so whenever I have an astrology question or anything like that, I go to the people who it is a gift for them. It is an ally. It is a tool to be able to use it as almost like a language, because it is, right? And so we'll have to find out if anybody in the chat knows more about Aries, the ram. That would be helpful so that we can actually feel the essence of this card. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share what the author has to say about this card. Yeah. And see what today's energy is like. All right, so I got to look up how to pronounce ram in Gaelic. They have a nice little key in the back for that. All right, so I know he's here. There he is. All right, so the Gaelic word for ram is rihu. Rihu? Rihu. Rihu. It doesn't look like it's spelled at all like that, but it's pronounced Rihu. And so the English, of course, is ram, and the Gaelic is Rihu. Yeah. So the card is about sacrifice, breakthrough, and achievement. Sacrifice, breakthrough, and achievement. It says the card shows a ram with a ewe and lambs in the background. To the left, we see sheep bit, sheep's kidney, and to the right, sheep sorrel. In the foreground grows stone bramble. A ram-headed snake is carved into the rock. So there's a lot of symbolism here about sheep. Rihu brings the ability to achieve a breakthrough, particularly attached to the place of its birth. The ram represents connection, rootedness, stability, and yet it also represents the power to penetrate, overcome, and achieve. Working with ram as your ally will help you to find the inner strength you need to succeed. At the same time, you need not fear losing your head on the dizzy heights of success, because the ram will help to keep you grounded and will remind you of the practical necessities of life. By persevering, by being patient, and attending to the needs of your daily life as well as your future goals, you will find the day comes when you achieve a breakthrough, accomplishing what you have set out to achieve and discovering that you have also come home. Wow. Yeah, so there's a lot of meeting that we just did, right? We just talked about. And that sure-footedness and that groundedness, the balance. the balance between your daily life and your career, possibly, right? Your work, the things that you really, really want to succeed at. Yeah. So when we take a look at this card and the meaning behind it, the essence around it, we have to look at what's going on in our current moment in our life, right? Where would you need to be sure-footed, to be patient, to be grounded? Has there been a sacrifice? Have you sacrificed something, maybe more than what you thought that was needed? And in the moment, a lot of times we make those kind of decisions, and then afterwards we go, why did I do that? But if we're patient, and if we can see the fuller picture of it, our decision to give something in that way is actually more about our soul growth, right? Yeah. All right, let's see. Andrea is saying Aries initiates is a starter energy. Ah, okay. So that kind of falls into the succeeding, doesn't it? Yep. And Julie says, here's a little something from Google. Aries traits. The people born under the zodiac sign Aries are curious, energetic, upbeat, and enthusiastic personality who wants to initiate and make things happen rather than being mere spectators. The need for excitement pushes them into territories and makes them extremely action-oriented. Well, that certainly has something to do with when we're looking at this ram. And look where he's standing. I mean, you really need to be able to know where your footing is, right? And doesn't it take, I mean, just to even get there, it takes some initiation to be able to get there, to be there. Very interesting. Thanks for looking that up for us, Julie, and sharing it. Hey, Violet's here. Hello, Violet. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. You just saw it. This is the card that came today. Yeah, it's the ram, and in Gaelic, it's Reithe. Reithe. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's very interesting. And talk about initiation and action-oriented, right? Chances are this ram is the one that is the father of the babies up there. So there's some creation energy going on there too. Right? Very interesting. All right. So, let's see. A little bit more about the card. There was a part in here, let's see if I can find it, that actually talked about the card. Okay, so the tradition of the ram, it says that the Celts kept sheep primarily for wool and milk, but also for meat. Just as the tree was revered for the great contribution it made to humanity, so too were sheep. For all they gave. Both came to symbolize sacrifice. For the tree surrendered its life to give warmth, furnishing, and shelter, having already given its shade, oxygen, and fruit, and the sheep likewise gave up its life to give nourishment, having already given its coat and its milk many times. The god of the tree, of the tree was known to Gaulish Druids as Isus. I don't know if I pronounced that right. at least 200 years before the time of Jesus, and the fact that he too came to symbolize sacrifice may well point to a mysterious connection between Druidry and early Christianity, particularly since legend tells us of the boy Jesus traveling with his uncle Joseph of Arimathea to Glastonbury, where incidentally wool was produced in a very large scale. Although sheep were valued primarily for their live contribution to the economy, the ram was considered particularly suitable for sacrifice. Ram roasting feasts were held near old standing stones in Devon at Beltane or Beltana and Midsummer's Day. The ram's throat would be cut and was tethered to a stone. Dancing and games and wrestling would follow the feast. It's very interesting. The tradition that sheep could talk may refer precisely to the fact that their bones talked in divination, and that their skin helped to make music, for both drum skins and the bags of bagpipes were furnished by the sheep. That's very, very interesting. And so, like I said, that their contribution, as they say, to humanity, to the two-legged, reminds me very much of how the buffalo did for the Plains indigenous people, those indigenous people here in the United States west of the Mississippi. East of the Mississippi, they did that as well until they were overhunted, right? And for us here, east of the Mississippi, indigenous people, the white-tailed deer is the same. We used everything from the white-tailed deer, or the ancestors did. And so in that same way, right? Yeah. So I wonder, when we talk about power animals or totems, birth totems, right? Very seldom do we actually talk about ram or even sheep in general as being a power animal or a birth totem. Isn't that interesting? Maybe it's because here in the United States, we don't necessarily, the sheep that were brought here were domesticated, right? Although there are wild sheep west of the Mississippi, mountain goats, right? Those are goats, not sheep. Let's get the species right. Too funny. That is very funny. Huh. I find it fascinating. So I wonder, for those that are in the chat, when you look at this artwork and at the essence of the ram, do you feel any kind of connection? See, when I first looked at this card, I really felt that that sure-footedness and that balance and being grounded, because I saw that all four of his feet are on the ground, grounded. And I'm very curious about the bird in the background. I do believe that's a wren. Very interesting. So I'll wait for your response to my question. And I could have sworn there was something in here about the wren when I read it, but I don't see it now. I'm going to look up wren, though, because I'm curious. Wren is on page 126. $128. Go one more page. One more page. There we go. So the run has the meaning of humility, cunning, and God. It's actually named after the Druids. Tradition calls the wren's nest the Druid's house. It says that the Druid allows us to glimpse the beauty of God or goddess in all things. It's about humility as too. So to have the wren sitting there off to the side there, is giving that essence or that spirit of humility and God and being very smart. Although the word cunning has a different kind of connotation to it, doesn't it? Like it's a lower vibrational kind of thing. Yeah. Hey, Tina's here. Tina says, hello, better late than never. It's always good to have you here, no matter when you pop in. Robin, maybe? Well, if it were here in the States, I would agree. But I also took a look to see what bird was in the deck, and the wren. This is the wren out of the deck, because I just took a look at what they have the meaning for wren in the deck. It's very interesting that he would show up, right? That he would show up. All right. So Andrea said, kind of, connected. Marcella says, I'm drawn to the little bird on the small branch. I was too. Andrea says, I feel a pushing through the type of energy. Yeah. That initiation, that when I can just imagine the kind of energy it took just to get up on that rocky path, right? That it's not exactly a walk in the park. That you have to have some agility, you have to have some stamina, you have to have perseverance to get there, right? And if you're grounded, you could draw on those kind of qualities, right? And Julie is saying, I saw his sure-footedness on the solid foundation rocks. Me too. That's what I saw first. And then I was drawn to the little bird. The little bird. And also to the babies in the background. That you have one that is nourishing himself, is feeding, right? The female energy in the background, nurturing, a nurturing quality. And that you have the other baby in the background watching. Maybe he's learning how to do something because it looks like he's looking at the ram, doesn't it? Yeah. Passing down those qualities, maybe those survival skills to the young, Yeah, there is. Tina says there's a snake at the bottom. Yes, there is. Etched in the stone. And it's kind of hard to see. I'll get it as close as I can and still keep the camera. It has a ram's head. And the author does speak to that. And let me share that with you. He says, a powerful symbol in Druid and Celtic tradition was the ram-headed serpent, a composite creature that we find depicted 3 times on the Gunstrup which I probably mispronounced, cauldron. In France, there are bronze and stone sculptures of the horned god Cernunnos, whose body is encircled by a pair of horned snakes, and these creatures are depicted on other Gaulish carvings in association with a goddess and a young man. The Gloucestershire, there is an image of Cernunnos in which two ram horned snakes make up his two legs, their heads emerging on either side of his head. These and other images suggest that the ram's head was added to the serpent's body to emphasize the power and penetrative nature of the masculine. Its association in iconography with solar and sky gods reinforces this interpretation. The ram was not used as a symbol of warriorhood. Instead, its connection with power, fertilization, and healing was stressed by associating it with the snake. So they have a completely they have a much different, I should say, a different perspective on snake, right? Because here we would say snake is transformation, right? The shedding of the skin. It's about the medical, of course, yes, the caduceus. Yeah. And Tina is saying, usually a native spirit moving. Yeah. Yep. And it depends. It depends on how much of Christianity is in that understanding of what snake symbolizes, right? Because whenever you see a snake, depending on your belief system, you may be thinking that it has something to do with the devil or with the serpent in the Garden of Eden, right? Yeah. So I think it depends on your perspective and your belief system. But for the Druids, it's a very powerful symbol, he says. It depicts the sacred masculine. And so it also carries all of those qualities of the ram as well, because it's got a ram's head. And maybe we could even stretch that a little bit too in our perspective, because it's just showing its head. And so what do we know about the symbolism of a head, right? It's about the mental thoughts. It's about our mental body. And in some cultures, they believe that's where the intellect, right, that holds the power, most of the power. Yeah. It's very fascinating, I think. The waviness. Yeah, that it's not a straight line, right? It's not a straight line. So it's showing that movement is what you're saying. Yeah. And it's here, I gotta move this down. And as you look at it in the whole picture, the snake is in front of the ram. In front of the ram. Not behind him, not to the side, but directly in front of him. So is that bringing him information? Spirit bringing us information on whatever the meaning of snake is for you, right? Yeah. Tina said, remember the church said when seeing the symbol of a wavy line and a head with horns, they thought of it as the devil, but it meant spirit moving. Yep. Yeah. So, when we're taking in the information of the ram and in the card in general, right, is that we have to look at the whole thing. The whole thing. All right. So how can we say, or what can we say about what RAM is bringing to our present time, our present life? Because remember, the information that we shared yesterday is that the author was very adamant that these cards are not about prediction. It's about helping us to understand what's going on in our lives right now. Right now. And the intention for the card draw that I have in the morning is just please show us the energy that's most important for us to know about today, for our highest good and the highest good of all, and that we can share with others, right? And so what in your life is going on right now that you could either draw on the ram's spirit, his medicine, to bring into your life so that you're more sure-footed, you're more balanced, or more grounded. Or maybe the ram is because he's grounded, he can really bring into his awareness in its fullness whatever message is coming from spirit, the snake in front of him. Yeah. So how can we tap into this energy for today that can help us, right? Help us understand what's flowing today, and what part of that maybe is we're asking for help to be more like the ram, or maybe it's telling us that we are like the ram, right? That we have those gifts of being sure-footed, and that we take care of our family, because we could say that that's his family in the background, 2 children and a spouse, or the mother of his children. Being sure-footed on your path, taking the right path, right? Yeah. Oops, I missed one. Sorry. I'm going to back up one. I'm going to go to this one. Julie says, I believe that according to my birth date, my birth totem is the snake. Oh, okay. Yeah. So for you, this might mean, if that's your birth totem on the path, is that the approaching energy of the ram could be very beneficial for you. Both are very grounded, right? Moving forward. Huh. I still go back to the ram's horns about clairaudient, right? Clairaudient. Tina saying Cullen Delaney energy. Don't know how to spell it. Well, it was close. It was close. This is the spelling. Cullen Delaney. No, that Julie has it correct, I believe. Cullen Delaney. Yeah. Rochelle says mine is the woodpecker. Loves birds. Yeah. Mine's owl. It's pretty appropriate too. It was a hard one to live with at first, but you know, when you can be open to and embrace both the strengths and the weaknesses, right? Yeah. So I think that these cards, the interpretation reminds me so much of when we share our dreams and how we interpret or try to help somebody understand their dream, right? It depends on our perspective and our experience, our life experience, and what we can see in the card or in the dream. Sense it. Sense it, feel it, see it, right? Now, even with the bird, you could say that you're going out on a limb, right? You're going out on a limb, taking that chance. It's a little bit of a gamble, but with the energy of the ram right next to you, it kind of makes you feel a little bit more secure. And the plant beneath the bird, what did they call that? Sheep's clover? No, sheep's. Let me go back and look. Yeah, of course, now that I want to see it. Oh, here it is. It is to the left, we see sheep bit, sheep's kidney, and to the right, sheep sorrel. So the one underneath the bird must be the sorrel. No? Kidney? The sorrel is more to the ground, right? And it says in the foreground grows stone bramble. Yeah. Yeah, going out on a limb a bit there. Taking a chance. Maybe because you have a good friend who has a lot of ram energy. Yeah. Too fun. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Can you believe that? I don't know. This is only our second time using the cards, but I'm kind of liking it. There's more to connecting into your intuition. There's more to really taking in the energy of the card, don't you think? Yeah, at least with the second one, yeah. Andrea is saying the ram reminds me of moving forward, not letting obstacles stand in your way. I agree. I do. I agree with that. And Rochelle is saying the owl fits you. So much wisdom. Well, thank you, Rochelle. Thank you. Yeah. That silent flight too, right? Tina is saying the natives believe in that dreams come from our spirit animal. Really? I think it depends on the culture that you grew up in, because in the culture I grew up in with my family, my Misho, my grandfather on my mom's side, was a speaker of a traditional religion called the dream drum, and it's also known as the big drum. He was the speaker of two drums, and so we believe that the dreams, and only certain dreams, not all your dreams, come from spirit, from the creator, and so that dream interpretation, I grew up with that. Oh man, there's nothing like sitting around the breakfast table talking about the dream that you had that morning. The ones, the early morning ones, the wee hour of the morning, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., those kinds of dreams. And yeah, there's nothing like it. Sitting around talking about that. Yeah, and I do believe that the spirit animals are definitely helpers. Absolutely. And Tina's saying that's what I learned from the Plains here in the middle and top of the states. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, and I think that one of the things that I'm learning anyway about doing this live stream and being able to share this kind of spiritual conversation, is that we can have different perspectives coming from our own knowledge base, our own experience base, our own cultures, and yet there's some commonality in it, don't you think? And so, if we can see where we are so similar and appreciate the differences, right? That we even get to learn a little bit more. That doesn't mean that you have to change your belief or anything like that. But to be able to take it in and say, oh yeah, I can see that. I can see why you would think that or see that in that picture. I find it valuable. I do. And I enjoy this kind of conversation. Don't know about you guys, but I do. Okay, so we're at the top of the hour, sharing a little bit about what's going to be happening this week in Star Nations. Let's see, on Tuesday, Chakra Sessions with Polly Jo LeBay. She's on vacation this week. And so her show is going to be a replay. And when she and I were talking about it, I said, don't worry about it. You're going on vacation. I'll select one for you. And so she was very happy about that. And so I took a look at the last year that we've been doing the live streams. There was a show that she did back in 2017, October of 2017. That was one of the most watched and most commented on show that she had done in 2017. And that was a show about sex, money, and spirit or relationships. And so that's the one I chose. And so on Tuesday, I will post the YouTube about that one. And so if you'd like, you can watch it and do the meditation if you choose. But it's I remember that one. There was a lot of aha moments for a lot of people in that one. And I thought with it being February and there's, lots of talk about Valentine's Day and couples or wanting to be a couple, that kind of thing. And so that's on at noon Eastern time on Tuesday. On Tuesday night is my show, Communications from Home. And I'm waiting on to see if Ed Langen can join me for that show. So because I want to talk to him about his upcoming new show on February 14th and let you guys meet him and get to know him a little bit more. And if he can't join me, then we're going to be talking about the Chinese New Year. Okay. All right. So Wednesday, Polly Jo LeBay's chakra sessions, because she's on vacation, we're going to do a replay. And if I remember right about that one, what did I choose? I forget. Let me check on it. Hang on. I just did this. You think I'd remember? Oh, okay. So we're going to be doing a replay from the live stream from February 14th, 2018. It was her very first live stream for Soul Connections. And I thought that for those that maybe have just found Polly Jo and Soul Connections, you might like to have a little bit of the background of that very first show that she did. Yeah. Yeah, a trip down memory lane for me anyway. And let's see, it's Wednesday. And it's actually a pretty light week for us here at Star Nations. Yeah. Coming off from a really gangbuster week this past week. Wow. We had a lot of great shows and I was really busy last week. All right. So, with that, magazine is coming out on February 10th. And so I'm like up to here in magazine work. And that's coming along really well. Wanted to thank everybody who did vote for the cover for the February issue, and your comments that you made were really, really valuable to me. I appreciate it because you can't see everything, right? Yeah. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and remember, whatever resonated with you with the sharing of Ram, or what was that? I forgot it already. I'm going to look it up because it's the only way I'm going to remember these things. Ram. Rihu. Ram or Rihu. That's Gaelic, Rihu. Whatever you found that resonated with you, with what we shared about that card, is to embrace it and watch how the day unfolds for you, right? And whether you're a direct participant or if you're a witness to the unfolding of that energy, and where the information was helpful to you. If it didn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. Maybe tomorrow's card information. Yeah. So with that, enjoy the rest of your day this Saturday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 Central for the daily card draw and the group card read. Okay. All right. So Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.